one of the solutions that is presented by medical doctors time and time again to solve the problem of missed periods is the birth control pill. And I just want to start off by saying Emily and I are not anti birth control pill. We are informed consent and just making sure people are educated on the risks versus benefits for getting a young teenage girl on this as a solution for regulating her menstrual cycle. Now, I will say that the birth control pill should be used just for what it's designed for, the birth control side of things. But that's another conversation. We're just talking solely about regulating the menstrual cycle. And I've had teenage girls tell me that the moment they get a missed period and they go to their gyno, the first thing the gyno says when she tells him or her that there's a missed period, they say, okay, go on the pill. Nothing about their lifestyle is addressed, and there aren't any other solutions presented. There aren't any risks presented. And it's just so interesting because anything you put into your body will have a risk to it. And people need to be informed, even if it's a small risk. But my biggest concern is more about telling young girls to go on the pill right away and the effects of the long term use. And we're talking maybe over 8 to 10 years if teenage girls are going on it to regulate their periods before addressing lifestyle habits. So, Emily,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on this recommendation from doctors? And what are some things that people need to keep in mind when doing the research if the pill is right for them or not for regulating the menstrual cycle?
Mhm. So, one, it's so important to understand that even though doctors are recommending it, they're recommending it because this is what we previously thought would be helpful. This is way back in the 90s. If we actually go back to the history of just any type of estrogen or female hormonal supplements, we find that at first it was designed to help prevent heart disease. And then we saw, oh crap, this is actually going to increase the rate of cancer. Oopsie, let's stop taking estrogen. Okay, what are the different types of hormones that we can give to a female that maybe is going to help her during menopause? So that's actually how taking these hormones first came into what we now know is just it's so prevalent. So back when I said that updated consensus statement, so that's by Mountjoy et al. It was published 2014. The studies occurred during the 2013, but in there, in this consensus statement, it explicitly states doctors need to stop recommending the oral contraceptives to athletes or any female that is experiencing an irregular or missing menstrual cycle because in fact it's really just a bandage over the problem. The problem still exists, but we're just covering it and ignoring it until we get off the oral contraceptive. So kind of taking back to what we talked about, our hormonal cycles. So when we talked about when we don't have enough fuel, that's when we see that all those beautiful cycles of our hormones that are supposed to help ovulation and help allow our bodies get ready for an egg to implant. And if that doesn't happen, that is when the whole lining within our uterus is going to be released. And that's what we experience as a period. So that's what a period really is. Now, when our athletes are experiencing low energy availability, we see that those hormones flatline. Now, when we think, oh, let's take a menstrual cycle to get our period back, if you look at that person's hormonal profile, her hormones stay flatlined because you have now introduced an exogenous hormone. And if you introduce an exogenous hormone, it means our natural endogenous production of hormones remains flatlined. So now we've given our body outside hormones to help us pretend that we're experiencing our period, but in fact, we're not. Because the real issue is that flat line of hormones. We need to get them back to that normal cycling. So, what is the period when you are on an oral contraceptive pill? It's a withdrawal bleed. So, in order to actually get a period, you have to stop taking the pill or you get that blank week. And that blank week means no hormones are in this pill. So, your body says, what the heck is going on? Where's that outside hormone? And so, because that's happening, it's going to release that uterine lining. But that release of the uterine lining is a false perception that things are cycling the way that they should, because instead, things are once again, flatlined. So, taking that oral contraceptive to bring your period back is a really poor misconception of what's going on. Instead, we're giving these young female athletes an exogenous hormone to feel like we're getting our period, but in fact, it's not. Instead, we had previous research that thought, well, if we give these oral contraceptive pills and get their periods back, maybe we can protect their bones. In fact, research over the course of now 20 years have demonstrated one, there's no evidence to suggest that oral contraceptives are going to be protective. In fact, some evidence shows that taking an oral contraceptive can lead to increased injury rates. Now, why? We don't know, but we can postulate that it's because we have bandaged the real issue at play, and that's our body's vital sign is telling us there's a big issue here. Oral contraceptives are absolutely fantastic when you don't want to become pregnant because they help your ovaries stop releasing an egg. Other than that, oral contraceptives should not be used to help bring periods back because no period is brought back. It is a withdrawal bleed. I kind of like to make this comparison. And hey, you're a female athlete, she's experiencing a missing menstrual cycle, you want to give her a period. Okay. What about the male athlete that all of his friends went through puberty and they all had their big growth spur, but he hasn't yet? Are you going to give him testosterone? Probably not. So, why should you give your female athlete outside female hormones to help promote something that should naturally be occurring? Because it doesn't actually happen this way. If we're not giving our males testosterone, why are we giving our females either estrogen, progesterone, any type of combination pills? Because there's multiple types of oral contraceptives out there. And their main goal is to stop contraceptives. It is not to help protect your athlete, to help get her period back. It is a facade that makes you feel like your athlete is healthy. And it's just kind of like saying, this vital sign, I'm not even going to consider it anymore. And I'm going to give myself this fake thing that's going to make me feel like my vital sign is working again, when in fact, it's not.